Being a musician can be expensive. Whether you're buying for yourself or a loved one, it's sometimes hard to spend that extra money. Today, Ted and I are going to talk about the 5 reasons why you do not want to be cheap in this situation.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in downtown San Antonio, Texas.
And I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We really appreciate the support and we love to interact with you guys. Ted, this is part 2 of a 2-part series. Part 1 was why you should be cheap.
Oh.
And so if you haven't watched that one, please go back and watch it. I feel like we bantered about, being cheap.
Reasons for being cheap.
But this is the reverse. This is the other side of that coin. And this is 5 reasons why you should not be cheap.
Because it's for me.
Oh yeah, that one it's for someone else. This one it's for me. No. But in that video, we kind of talked about, we're not going to define what cheap is to you. We'll let you guys kind of make that determination. If you're looking at an acoustic instrument, if you're looking at a keyboard, cheap can mean a whole bunch of different things to different people. So always think of the reason why you are buying this, what's the purpose it's going to serve, and then kind of come up with a budget and what framework you have and what would be cheap and what would be nicer, what would be a stretch, and kind of just have a reference point. But in this video, this is our reasons, and if you go to a piano store, if you go to a music shop, I'm sure you'll get a whole bunch of reasons why you shouldn't be cheap and why you should buy the nicest thing and all this stuff. And so we're not going to try to be salesy in this. This is more educational and some of the dangers of being too cheap or not getting the right instrument, which can be frustrating.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is we have these musicians that come in here and they pick an instrument that they want, and in their mind, they're going to put it into a studio or a garage or something. That's in years to come. At the present time, what they're going to do is just leave it in their living room. And that usually works good until the wife comes in and says, that's not going in the living room. I mean, we've had guys almost buy pianos that played and sounded great, but they weren't much to look at.
Yeah.
And the wives were, no, that's not going in the living room.
It doesn't look good enough.
It doesn't look good enough.
Which is, that's something to consider as well. But on our list today, number 1, why not to buy cheap, is quality and usability. And we're not going to harp too much on this. So I feel like a lot of our videos talk about, what the tools are out that are available and why you might want them or why you might need them. But a lot of the times with you get what you pay for is the old adage, and in this situation in the music industry, in a field where there's a lot of used items sold, and there's also a wide range of selection of new keyboards. So on acoustic instruments, the quality of a cheap or a free piano can be pretty. It
could be limited.
Yeah, it's limited, and a lot of the times it's a giant box of wood with steel in it doesn't serve a purpose, except it's very heavy and hard to move. Yeah,
the other thing too is that it could be time where, I think it was number 3 or 4 on our last list, got you started. Mm-hmm. And so this is the next purchase after you've been started. And so here you want to upgrade to something that has more usability, whether it's digital with more stuff on board, or it just looks better, plays better, sounds better, and matches the furniture. Perhaps.
Yeah, and so if you purchase too cheap, a lot of the times you're going to miss out on functionality, a headphone jack, or a great piano sound or a good action. On the acoustic side of things, your piano might have a cracked soundboard, or it might not hold a tune, and so there's a lot of dangers. There's a list of probably 1,000 different reasons why the usability will not be up to par if you go cheap. And so we won't harp on that too much, but that is our first one on this list, and probably the most important is the quality of what you're getting is not going to be, it's not going to get you very far.
Right.
And so that brings us to number 2. So not to buy cheap. Number 2, we have seen this before, and it's actually kind of, it's a sad thing. They've been on a cheap thing for too long. They've had that that little tiny keyboard for 4 years, and now you're in high school. We're gonna buy you something nicer. Let's go play some pianos. And they're trying to play, and they have no dynamic control or technique because they've reinforced bad habits.
No finger strength or coordination, no really being able to cleanly reach an octave and play in between. Yeah.
Well, because, you know, in a lot of people's minds, like, oh, this, you know, it doesn't have all 88 keys, but it will get them started. And then you start thinking about when you're playing with a stretch, and it's like, you don't have room to move. You're constrained.
Limited.
Yeah. And so number 2 is it does form bad habits if you buy cheap. Whether it's on an acoustic side, if you're buying that free piano, getting that free piano and just moving it into your house, a lot of the times there's a reason it's free, and we did a whole video on that as well. But it's just not gonna take you to that next level, and you're actually gonna reinforce bad habits. And really, yeah, it's a lot of times not worth the investment that you spent on it, because especially if you spend too much time on it. Number 3 on our list here is, say you have that cheap instrument, it's not gonna be fun to play. And playing music it's a recreational activity. It's an art form. It's an output of something that should be enjoyable.
Right. And you want to have a nice, good sized carrot, you know, so you can work toward it.
Yeah, you want something that you can grow with, and you're spending time on it. You're going to be spending time on it. If you're making this purchase, you're not going to. If you're spending, you know, a couple $100s, a couple $1,000s, whatever you're spending, you're spending into your future, and so it's not going to be fun to play that really cheap thing, or if it's for your kids, it's not going to be fun to play that. And you're trying to encourage behavior. You're trying to encourage, hey, I can't wait to go back and play this. I can't wait to do this. And if it's not fun, you're not going to do it, or you're going to hate it. And so it's kind of one of those things that's
It could also be, you don't want to limit your features on a keyboard, particularly, not so much a piano, but on a keyboard, you don't want to limit your features to where it's like, oh, I'll be able to use all that right away. Look for stuff that may take you a while to figure out how to use it. Get the keyboard that has the multi-track recorder in it, even if you've never done multi-track. So you may want to go in and learn how to do it and start having fun in a new way.
Yeah, it should be fun. You're spending money on something. It shouldn't be like, oh, I have to do this now. It should be something that you look forward to. This is a recreational activity, and we truly believe that your life is enhanced better. It's more fun when you get to do this. And so make sure you have something that can do it.
Be truly motivated so you know more precisely what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and so that also brings us to number 4, a very similar point, but it's very difficult to progress.
Yeah.
So if you go cheap and you get something that will get the job done at least, it's very, very hard to progress, and it's very, very easy to quit.
Right.
And so those are 2 things that are kind of, you're wasting your time.
Because you probably went too cheap with that purchase. So it's time to make a better one. You want to get one that's going to have that challenge out there. It's going to have that built-in motivation. It's like I tell people, you want to wake up every day and just can't wait to get to your instrument.
You don't want to fight it, right?
Right.
You want to be growing.
You want to grow with it.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the times, if you do purchase too cheap, if you get a toy keyboard, or if you get a small keyboard, if you get an acoustic instrument that is not functional, again, very, very easy to quit playing it, because you're like, I'm not having
fun.
Yeah, I'm not having fun. Back to our 3rd point, but I'm not having fun. It's easy to quit. Hard to progress is our number 4. Rounds out our list. Number 5. You spend more money later, and you spend less time with the actual instrument. So this is one of those things where, and I think it's similar to the student that's been playing for since they were 6 or 7, and they've been playing to high school, and they've maybe done one upgrade at a certain point, or gotten something an 88 weighted keys, and then they're a junior in high school, and they're like, oh, he's really been playing well. I hear it at the recitals a lot. He's been playing well. We're gonna get him something nice finally. And in my mind, I'm like, he's going to college next year on a music scholarship, and he's not even gonna be able to enjoy the instrument that you're buying for longer than 1 year now, because, and so a lot of times you'll have to spend more because you didn't make that initial investment, and you kind of have to upgrade or fix and diagnose what the problem is. And sometimes you buy the right one, sometimes you buy the wrong one, and you just spend money with a technician trying to get it right. And it's a money pit sometimes. And then you spend more money, and then you have less time to spend on the instrument. And so So it's just it's sometimes hard to see that.
Right. It's a lot easier to have your dream instrument when you're 30 years old and you get your dream instrument, maybe you're 20 or 30 years old, you have the rest of your life, as opposed to, hey, I'm 75 and I just got my dream piano. And, you know, you don't have, you do have the rest of your life on it, but it may not be 50 some odd years.
Yeah, no, and it's easy for us to say buy the best, most expensive thing, but really you should be considering these things because it's not just that one-time purchase of this is my instrument, I'll spend this on it. Think about the time that you're going to be playing on this. If you truly want to progress and you truly want to enhance your playing abilities, or if you truly want your kids to progress and learn music, encourage them with the instrument that you choose. Encourage yourself with the instrument that you choose, and buy it for yourself in 5 years. Buy it for yourself in 10 years, because it's that journey that you'll appreciate with the instrument, instead of fighting an instrument that makes you quit.
Living with the instrument through time that is a good quality instrument is the most important thing to a musician. And if you have someone that's pretty identifiable as a musician, in other words, they're on their second piano and they're going to school on it, or they're on their second or third instrument, and they've been upgraded. It's kind of like balancing out. If everyone had to save up the money to buy whatever it is they needed to buy, well, then we'd all be really old buying our first house. Mm-hmm. So the time value of money spent at a certain time is really worth a life.
It is.
Okay, and so if you buy that life dream instrument at a younger age, you'll have it for most of your life. It'll sculpt your life the way you want, as opposed to a dream that's out there that you can check off a box one day.
Yeah.
And so you don't get that much time to live with it. Mm-hmm. So living with the instrument is really, really important. And when it comes down to it, you really want to get the best instrument you can afford. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's the secret, the best instrument you can afford.
Yeah, and so these were fun videos, being cheap, not being cheap. It's all a reference, and I feel like a good balance would be get the one that you can afford, the best one you can afford, and try to look at ways to maybe stretch your investment and say, hey, this is going to last me a couple years. This could last me the rest of my life if it's a quality instrument. I'm okay making a couple payments on it over the times because I'm growing with this like a house. But being sure to get the one that will help you, encourage you to grow with it, I think is very important. So that's our 5 reasons not to be cheap. Of course, quality and usability. Bad habits are formed on subpar instruments, and sometimes those subpar instruments are cheap ones. Recreational activity, when you're playing instruments, you want it to be fun. You don't want it to be a chore. You don't want it to be a fight, a struggle.
Boring.
You don't want it to be boring. You want it to encourage you to play. It's also very difficult to progress and easy to quit. That's our number 4 there. And then, of course, number 5, spending more money later and having less time with the instrument that you do
to enjoy it.
And so, thank you guys for watching. Again, this is Ted Barsalou. I'm Patrick Marr. We're with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. We have a chat agent available if you have any questions about finding your dream instrument. If you guys have had experience buying a cheap instrument or an expensive instrument, please let us know your experience with that, because I'm sure other people are looking for the right choice. And should they be spending a little bit extra, or should they just cut their budget in half and say, let's just get this for now? Please leave some comments so that other people can be helped and educated and guided to finding the right. Yeah, share your experience. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.